Hi there, I'm Vincent and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing situationships and friends with benefits, breakup support, and growing attraction. I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details, www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing situationships and friends with benefits, breakup support, and growing attraction. So different types of relationships can be explained in different ways. In today's podcast, I'm going to be giving 3 thoughts on situationships and friends with benefits, discussing how to grow attraction and providing breakup support. So let's get straight into this. And number 1 is, what are the differences? So first of all, we're going to be looking at the differences as I see them between situationships and friends with benefits. As with anything, this is my take on it, this is my opinion, and other people might have their own slant on this, their own ideas, and that is obviously their prerogative. But I'm going to get into my thoughts about what I believe the differences are between situationships and friends with benefits. So I believe that a situationship is something where 2 people have connected due to a situation. You might say the clue is in the name. So let's give an example. Let's say, for instance, that you have to go work somewhere for a couple of months, and you know you're not going to be there forever, but it's certainly more than just a weekend away. Maybe, like I said, it's a month, 2 months, 3 months, maybe some type of contract where you've had to travel to a different area of where you actually live, and you're having to live temporarily in a certain area, as I said in this example, that you are going to work, okay? And during this time, you connect with somebody. And this is why I would call this a situationship, because it is due to the situation that you are temporarily working in this area. Maybe this other person is as well, or maybe they are a permanent resident. But basically, the situation has connected you two together. Because if it wasn't for you having to go to this place to work for a few months, you would never have probably met this other person. Like I said, maybe you're both working in this situation, or maybe it's just one of you, but it doesn't have to just be based on work. This could be any situation. You know, we could look at things such as if you go to university, if you go to college, and you're staying at that university, you live at the university, you live at the college, you live in the dorm rooms. This, again, could be a situationship, because ultimately, this is not the area that you live. Ultimately, that when it's the holidays, you know, you go back to where you normally live, to your family home, for instance. So once again, that could be an example of a situationship. Now, in my belief, situationships don't have defined rules. People are just going with the flow. They're not setting down markers as for what this is or what this isn't, when this ends, how long this can last. In my opinion, a situationship doesn't have anything officially defined or confirmed. Both people are living in the moment, both people are living within the situation, and both people are enjoying this lifestyle. So a situationship, as far as I can see and understand, could be either something very casual, or it could be something which during the time you are together, it's very intense, it's very serious. One or both people might think this is a forever relationship, removing from their thoughts the consideration that one or both people will have to leave this area at some point. You know, so maybe this is something really casual, really low key, or maybe this is something that's getting very serious and one or both people actually think this could last forever, but they're trying to ignore the fact that one or both people won't be in this situation forever. Again, if you're at college or university, you're going to be going back, no doubt, to the areas that you live. if you're in this work scenario that I gave, then of course when the job is over after 2 or 3 months, you will likely be going back to where you actually live. Now, of course, these are only 2 examples. There are plenty other possibilities of how a situationship can take place, as long as there is, again, the clue is in the name, a situation which has brought you together. So for me, the defining things about a situationship is that 1, this is a situation which is not permanent, or certainly at the time isn't permanent, which is why you've got together. And secondly, we have to be considering that a situationship isn't something where people are really truly nailing down what this actually is, how long this will actually last, and what exactly the future holds. I think it is something which is quite fluid. Now, when we look at friends with benefits, this is defined. This is something that one or both people certainly agree upon, that this is a casual situation. Now, sometimes both people will truly agree, and sometimes both people will agree, but deep down only one person is agreeing and the other person is hoping this can develop into something more. But basically, a friends with benefits is where both people at least agree that they are going to be friends in most instances, but there is going to be that intimate aspect to this connection. However, they won't be proceeding with a relationship in the usual way. They won't be living together. They won't be inviting each other to family events, for instance. Like if you need to bring a +1 to a family event, maybe you're going to a family wedding, you're not going to bring your friends with benefits because they are not your partner. They are not your girlfriend. They are not your boyfriend. This is not something which is going to develop. So the big difference as I see it is, whereas a situationship isn't defined, a friends with benefits is defined. There is a limit to where this will go, and you are going to be the type of people who Netflix and chill, as you say, you're going to be spending time together in a friendly capacity, but then that develops into intimacy. But then when you are not together, you're not texting each other 24/7. This isn't going to be a scenario where you proceed things further. You might only see each other once a month. It might be a little bit more than that. It could be once every 2 weeks, once every week. But you are not going to be moving forward in a traditional relationship way. And therefore, this friendship is something which is very casual, but it is defined. And it has the intimate aspect to things, which changes it from a regular platonic friendship. The problem that we sometimes see with friends with benefits is that this scenario is not something that both people deep down want to maintain at the same level. And I will be speaking more about this through today's podcast. But just for now, point number 1 about describing what these 2 instances are, what these 2 types of relationships are, and how we can compare and contrast them. This is what I thought a situationship was, and that was what I thought friends with benefits are. And now we can see, when we understand that, how we will move into point number 2. And point number 2 in today's podcast is about how to grow attraction. So if you are in a situationship, or if you are within a friends with benefits, and you want to be more than this, then you need to be understanding how you can grow attraction. How can you try and alter the state of things so that this could be something more long-term, more permanent? So first of all, we will look at situationships again. And as I've said, a situationship is based on a temporary situation. So if you want to be growing attraction, you need to be making sure that you aren't being needy, possessive, or jealous of the fact that you know that this situation is going to come to an end. Now, this is a very fine line to tread because you need to be showcasing your interest. You don't want to be a cold fish. You don't want to be somebody that your partner doesn't even think wants to stay in touch later on. But you need to make sure you're not pushing your partner away instantaneously by being too needy. Neediness kills attraction. And if you want a situationship to last longer than the situation, you need to make sure that you aren't killing attraction and instead you're growing attraction. So the first step of growing attraction is making sure you're not killing it. And the first step of growing attraction is making sure that you are on a level playing field when you're moving forward. You don't want to be the person who is more needy, more desperate. You want to be as even as possible on the scales of value, because that is how relationships work best. Now, you need to be trying to present a scenario moving forward, how you can stay in touch, how you can stay in contact, but without sounding desperate. So, make sure that all of your contact details have been shared and exchanged. You might think that is obvious, but sometimes that's not always the case. Maybe you only have each other on one social network. Make sure you've swapped numbers. Make sure your social networks have been exchanged. Make sure you know each other's addresses. You need to be making sure you do this in a way which doesn't sound needy, but just make sure there is the possibility that you can contact one another. Now, as you move forward towards the date of where you know the situation will end, you need to be presenting yourself as somebody that your partner at this time wants to spend time with further. Make sure you're always acting happy, carefree and fun. Be positive. Make sure you're behaving in a dating mode situation. That means that you are attracting your partner on all levels, not just on a behavioral level, but also on a physical attraction level. So make sure you're looking your best. Make sure you present yourself as somebody who is physically attractive, mentally attractive, spiritually attractive. All of these things will help you. It is always a good idea to suggest in the future how you could possibly meet. So let's say, for instance, that this situation is going to end in a couple of weeks. You can be already starting to arrange a possibility of where you see each other in a month's time. Give them a couple of weeks to settle in back at home, but make sure you have something in the pipeline. If your partner isn't overly receptive to you trying to arrange and make plans, then just try to take a step back. Like I said, you don't want to be needy, you don't want to be demanding, but you need to be making a suggestion and see how they react. If they don't react positively, then you need to be, in essence, moving into my version of a no contact rule if and when the situation ends, and if and when you are no longer seeing each other. I would suggest that if you try to make plans and your partner is very unreceptive to this, but not really interested, it seems, then when everything comes to an end, when they move back to where they live, and maybe where you move back to where you live, I would suggest never contacting them again unless they contact you first. Now, bearing in mind, this is after you have made a suggestion to meet up. You can do this. You are in a connection. You are able to make that suggestion, but then if they're not receptive to it, just make sure everything's open. Make sure you say, look, if you want to meet up sometime, just let me know. Stay cool, calm and collected. Don't get overly stressed if they turn you down or if they say, well, I don't know. Just say, well, look, if you'd like to meet up, just let me know. That, in my opinion, is the best way to try and grow attraction during the situationship coming to a close when you're trying to take it further past that point. So now we need to consider friends with benefits. What can you do to try and grow attraction during friends with benefits to move things further into something more permanent? Well, the first thing we have to understand is that if somebody is only wanting friends with benefits, it is likely because they are not in the right emotional space to have a full-on relationship. Now, possibly this could be time-based. Possibly they have children. Possibly they have a stressful job. Possibly they just don't see an opportunity of how they can have a full-on relationship. Or maybe they've just gone through a breakup. Maybe they don't want to get into a rebound and therefore they're trying to take things as slow as possible during this time. Okay, they've delved into a partially intimate relationship with you, but they are acknowledging that if they got in too deep, then this is something which could really be a rebound. So please take a look at their scenario. If they're fresh from a breakup, if there's somebody who has a lot going on in their life, then maybe this isn't going to be right for you. Maybe you don't want to be trying to grow additional attraction because this is something which probably won't work out at this time. You deserve to be fulfilled, and you don't want to be getting into a relationship with somebody who doesn't have enough time for you, and you don't want to be getting into a relationship with somebody who's still hurting from a previous partner and might end up suddenly ending your connection due to them feeling they're in a rebound. So initially, you need to make sure if you even want to be growing attraction with this other person that you're with, because if it's not right for you, then ultimately you shouldn't be pushing forward with this. However, if you think that this is a scenario which could work for you long term, then you need to be showcasing yourself as somebody who is better than anybody else they could find at this time. Clearly, they like you as a friend. Clearly, they enjoy the intimacy, but there is something missing. There is something that they don't want to introduce you to their friends and family maybe, they don't want to push forward, in whatever reason this may be, you need to be making sure you are filling the gaps of this connection. Okay, think to yourself, why might my partner not want me to move forward? Like, is there a reason why they don't want this to happen? And if and when you can try to find out why this is not quite working out, this is where you can fill in the gaps. Now, I can't help you precisely in this scenario. This is something where you might want to consider my coaching services so I can speak with you one-on-one. Because unfortunately, there is an endless possibility of what could be the reason as for why your partner doesn't want to take things further. However, what I can say, similar to a situationship, be happy, carefree and fun. Don't be pressurizing. Don't be needy. Don't be jealous. Be the type of person that other people want to spend time with, and your partner will want to spend more time with you. Additionally, if you feel that you are not fulfilled during this connection, don't be afraid to date new people. You might think, I don't want to do this. But if you are only seeing your friends with benefits once a month, you can't be sitting at home. You need to be living your life. And maybe if they find out you're dating new people, this will kick them into action and understand that they will lose you forever unless they take you and your connection more seriously. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about situationships and friends with benefits. And point number 3 is how to cope with a breakup. Now, unfortunately, if your relationship is ended at the end of a situationship, or your connection is ended because your friends with benefits has just decided they no longer want to continue in this way, the pain you are likely to feel is just the same as if you was in a regular relationship. Now, of course, the longer your connection has been, the more of a struggle you are likely to find it. And I will always suggest that whatever type of breakup you are going through, the feelings, the emotions, they're all the same. It's bubbling up inside you. The feeling of anxiety, the feeling of distress, a combination of feelings similar to grief and drug withdrawal. Again, every situation is different, especially situationships, of course, but every scenario that we look will depend somewhat on the relationship, the breakup and the aftermath as to how you are feeling. But ultimately, the key is the same. If your connection is ended and you don't want it to end, I strongly suggest you implement my version of the no contact rule. Now, you may have heard of people speak of a no contact rule if you have been dumped, if your relationship has ended and you want to try to get your ex back. But let me tell you, the no contact rule helps you not only try to get your ex back, but to help you recover from your breakup. And you need to do this, whatever your scenario is. Now, there are many different versions of a no contact rule that you can find online, and I believe that my version will give you the best possible chance of success. So I suggest that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, ring the bell for notifications, and check out my playlist entitled The No Contact Rule. If you listen to this fully, you will fully immerse yourself in my version of a rule and understand why I believe it will give you the best possible chance of success. Additionally to this, you need to be moving forward with your life in every single direction and gaining support of friends and family. Now look, they're not always going to want to listen to you. Friends and family do their best, but they are not always going to have the time or inclination to listen to your scenario. And that is why I provide my audio coaching service. This is something which you might find helpful. And if you think that speaking with me could help, then please check out my website, www.dateme.tips, and then check out the details on my coaching services and how I could help you. There is no 100% guaranteed way to get your ex back, but if you do everything right, you will get through this difficult time, you will go through recovery, and you will find a better person if you don't get them back. So it's win-win. You will either get your ex back or you will find somebody even better if you move forward in as positive ways possible. Always remember, if you are struggling, please contact your local doctor. Depression is real, depression is serious, and they will be able to help you. You will get through this, and these negative feelings are temporary. It's so important you never feel alone during a breakup, because there are people you can speak to, and you will get through this difficult time. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.
Yeah, if you miss your ex, we can help with that. Help you get him back, or we can help find you someone else. Yeah, Vincent, the relationship coach, giving you some insight, bringing you a new approach. Date me tips, go and check the site, giving you advice, helping with your love life. Get your ex back or move to the next. Ain't no sweat, you know Vincent got you. Finding love ain't no problem. Yeah, date me tips, check it out now.